Hi everybody and welcome to the Lomas Funeral YouTube channel. Today I have an awesome treat for all of you. I am actually going to be doing this video with my friend Matt Roberts from the Mount Calvary Cemetery Group, and he's going to be explaining the cremation process, and he's going to be giving us a little tour of his crematory. So come on! So we're just going to jump right into everything. I have a couple of questions that I want to ask Matt that I think are basic cremation questions that a lot of people have, but maybe don't have a situation or somebody that they can ask them to. We are talking about New York. I'm a licensed funeral director in New York State, and Matt is a crematory operator in New York State as well. So some things that we're talking about may slightly differ state to state depending on where you're from and where you practice.
Correct. Here in New York State, actually, there's an anti-combination law that separates funeral homes from cemeteries, and crematories are classified as cemeteries in New York State.
I guess the first question that I have for you is, can you briefly explain the cremation process?
Traditional flame-based cremation is the reduction of human remains to bone fragments through heat and flame. The machine that performs the cremation is typically called a retort. After the process is completed, there is a minimum cooling period before recovery of an individual's cremated remains can begin. At that point in time, all of the incidental metals are removed and then processed, essentially pulverized, until they are no longer recognizable as any specific bone fragment. That is traditional flame-based cremation in a nutshell. There are some newer technologies, but when people say cremation, they are typically talking about the traditional flame-based cremation.
Why do you think more people are choosing to be cremated?
That is a good question. I think they want more options. I hear cost thrown around as a motivating factor for people to opt for cremation. That is not always the case. Sure, could you potentially save some money via direct cremation as compared to a more traditional funeral? Absolutely. However, it does not mean that if you opt for cremation, you are foregoing the traditional funeral ceremony or even a more unique celebration of life. It's just basically giving yourself more options, maybe establishing a timeline that works for your family. We live in a culture where people want to do their homework, they want to make choices, and they want to know every option that's on the table.
You briefly touched upon this in your last answer. If people want to be cremated, can they still have a funeral?
Definitely. Cremation is a process, we often say here. It's just part of the overall funeral process, one piece of that puzzle. It doesn't dictate the service type that people want to opt for.
Are there any situations in which a person would not be eligible to be cremated?
Yes, definitely. Unless an individual has appointed an authorized agent to carry out their last wishes, the cremation authorization has to be signed by the person legally entitled to do that, primarily in closest relationship. So for example, if a wife predeceases a spouse, the husband would have to sign that authorization. No matter what that wife said her whole life up to that point, I want to be cremated, I want to be cremated. If he refuses to sign that authorization without a court order, we will not proceed with the cremation authorization, which actually adds a lot of value to people doing something like appointing an authorizing agent to carry out their wishes. Can save your family a lot of grief, can save you can give you the peace of mind knowing that you've taken care of something that not many people want to think about or talk about.
Once again, we're talking about New York State laws and regulations with regards to the cremation process. If you do live in New York State, and if it is your desire to be cremated, it is an appointment of agent to control disposition form that you can actually pull up at home on your computer, print out, and fill out yourself. You do not need a funeral director in order to fill out this paperwork. This is something that you can take care of ahead of time. And I'll actually put the link for this form in the description box below.
As long as it's done, I would suggest you supply that copy to your funeral home.
Absolutely.
You supply that copy to the individual appointed, and then anyone else you think that it would be necessary to just make sure when the time comes it's easily found.
Yeah.
If it's rolled into a long form will, wills often aren't read till well after a cremation process may have needed to take place.
So that can be, and I'm a huge advocate for pre-planning. Hey, pre-planning. That can be a different video altogether. But this is just important things that you have to make certain you take care of. Wherever you're living, you definitely want to maybe talk to a funeral home or at least do some research on your own, finding out what the laws and regulations are in your state. A lot of people have a question on how green cremation is.
Okay.
Can you maybe enlighten us a little bit as to how good or not good for the environment cremation really is?
Yes. I'll classify this much. When it comes to green anything, green cremation, green burial, there are varying degrees of greenness. Did you use a backhoe to dig a green burial space? Do you cut that grass every week? So basically it's a sliding scale. I'm completely with you on doing anything we can to green up any of our industries in the world. It has been said that the normal cremation process pollutes less than having a fire in your home fireplace. It also is said that in an average cremation, if all particulate matter was collected, I've heard it say that it would not fill more than a cigarette container. I don't know why that was used as the example, but
because we all know what a cigarette container is, maybe.
Yes. So, due to the intense high heat and the function of that secondary burner, the process actually pollutes a lot less than people would expect.
I had so much fun making this video. Matt, thank you so much for all of the awesome information and for just allowing us to come to your crematory and answer these questions and for letting us take a look around. Matt has agreed to come on back and make another video with me for any questions that you all might have. So if you do have any questions on something that maybe we didn't touch base on here today, if you could please just put them all in the comments below. Any questions that you have about cremation, put them in the comments below and we will take some of those and make another video answering things a little bit more in detail. And as always, if you like this video, if you wouldn't mind giving it a thumbs up, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button. But thank you so much for watching and we will see you all next time.